Recently, I stumbled across creepy videos that prove the supernatural realm is real. And it's probably one of the worst videos on this subject that I've seen. But unfortunately, there were plenty of people that were convinced. Now let's get this straight. I'm not saying that there couldn't be a supernatural realm, but this video alone is very sad evidence of that. You'll see what I mean.
In this video, we're going to be looking at a lot of different clips, some creepy, some amazing, from angel sightings to Bibles not burning in fires. And if you don't believe in the supernatural realm now, by the end of this video, I think you'll have changed your mind.
I would agree that convincing evidence should change anyone's mind, but you can probably guess that is not what he's about to show us.
Many Bible verses allude to angels still interacting with humans today, and sometimes people actually encounter these angelic beings in the physical realm.
Shock of their lives when they got an alert from their security camera in the driveway.
It was kind of like really unusual. I've never ever seen anything like it.
I was like, wow. I mean, that is an angel.
The photos are exactly how they were taken. I choose to believe it. I think it's an angel.
Starting off strong here. Look, I never started this channel to bash religion. If you're a religious person, more power to you. But if you show me a Bigfoot-esque picture of an angel and say that is good reason to join you in your belief, I'm gonna have something to say. As you saw, this picture was taken with a motion sensor camera, which means it either takes pictures or videos. Assuming it takes videos, like most every motion sensor camera, it would then be taking 15 to 30 frames or pictures per second, and only caught the angel on 2 of those frames, I'm assuming, as they are the only ones you publicly showed. Either way, the angel would have been present for 0.12 to 0.06 seconds. That's a pretty fast angel to be flying through there. Another thing to notice is they are oddly out of focus for being right over the truck, which leads me to believe that this is not something above the truck, but actually something much closer to the camera. And with it leaving the view so quickly, that would make sense. And take notice, there are wings on this angel. Last time I checked the Bible, the one this man is referring to never mentions angels having wings. But what object could be flying around at night near the camera? It's anyone's guess. Now in this next clip, he talks about how there are fallen angels, which I won't show the whole clip because it's long and also mostly irrelevant. All you need to know is that he thinks there are evil angels as well as good ones.
This next clip coming out of El Paso, Texas, just may be one of those encounters. Let's watch some of this and then see how this could be tied to fallen angelic beings.
Where is it?
What is that? Huh?
What? Does it show good on you?
Yeah.
Can I see?
Looks almost like an angel.
You zoomed in?
Yeah, it's all the way in.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. And neither do they. Like, think about it. If I walked into my house and all my valuables were missing, but the door was still locked, should I assume that a ghost took them? Like, would it be reasonable, since I had no clue as to how someone stole my stuff, that it must have no natural explanation at all? Like, of course not. It is common to see things where they aren't, or to jump to conclusions because we are pattern-seeking creatures. But when I see something odd in the sky that looks like an angel, I don't then assume that it's an angel. I chuckle because it's funny that it looks like that. And before you argue, hey, you're too biased, or you are dismissing the evidence, you would chuckle too if it looked like Mike Wazowski was up there and I told you that that was good enough reason to accept that Monsters, Inc. actually happened.
This thing flying around in the sky looked very similar to some of the beings or entities that we've seen in videos by this man, Robert Bingham.
Yeah, similar in that all of Robert's UFO sightings have some of the worst footage, in spite of him gathering people together, getting high quality cameras, and claiming that he knew where they were going to appear. Not to mention that the majority of his alien encounters look oddly like balloons. Couldn't explain that one.
If you have the wrong spiritual doors open into the spirit realm, then Satan is prowling around like a roaring lion, looking for any open doors where he can deceive people down the wrong path. There's a reason why people can summon these beings in the sky, or why they're constantly harassed or abducted by this phenomenon, and it's because they have the wrong spiritual doors open, and as long as those are there, these entities will appear. This is a supernatural phenomenon that's happening in our skies, and it's increasing in our time more and more.
Okay, what? First off, yes, alien sightings are going up, but so are the amount of drones being produced. Not only that, but we have never had this amount of sci-fi shows and movies either. Here's a quick fun fact. Back when sci-fi shows started to pick up, so did UFO sightings. The year The X-Files was released, the reported UFO sightings didn't double or triple, it quintupled, going from just 117 sightings in 1995 to 609 in 1996, which still isn't that many overall. Next, he asserted that if you have the wrong spiritual doors open, that's why you were abducted by aliens? Way to blame the victim.
But what was he wearing?
A tinfoil hat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was asking for it.
This doesn't even deserve a response. The guy is using trust me bro logic to prove angels, aliens, and abduction. He clearly hasn't heard of Hitchens' razor. What can be asserted without evidence can also be dismissed without evidence. This next one is a longer clip, but it's a good one, so stay with me.
These next two clips are an amazing supernatural occurrence that takes place where terrible, completely out of control fires happen, but the Bible itself that is engulfed in these flames doesn't burn.
I see this blew up fireworks and propane, but guess what? It's still living. And this so happened to be July 7th, open. And what does it say? Sin is no longer your master, for you no longer live under the requirements of the law. Instead, you live under the freedom of God's grace. Wow. And today is July 7th. That's crazy.
Pretty amazing to see that daily devotional sitting on the dashboard and it's wide open and the pages didn't burn at all.
Bullshit! This book was obviously open to that page after the fire took place. How can we know that? All of the burns are symmetrical. Most books are created with thin pages, and when condensed together, push out oxygen, preventing the fire from spreading. And what is this about the book not burning at all? Are you blind? This book is obviously burnt. Apparently, God didn't like the cover art much because he only cared enough to keep the middle of the book from burning. Not to mention that he didn't save any piece of his faithful steward's car from being singed to a crisp. But look, a book surviving a fire, even an extremely hot one, is not impossible. It happens on the regular in fires all over the world. And if you still think God was the reason the book was preserved, then fair. But you better also be willing to accept that God preserved the Quran in this building fire as well. I'm sorry, but you can't have your cake and eat it too.
It makes you wonder if these verses about God being a consuming fire is how the word is protected, because fire cannot burn fire.
Welcome to Fact or Cap, where today we put Sling and Stone's word to the test and see if the word is protected against fire. And that is clearly a cap. As you can see, the book was completely destroyed, along with any chance I had of going to the Christian heaven. Huh.
These next two clips are a little creepy, and it seems like some strange supernatural force is at work here. Let me know what you think. This is pretty weird.
At around 3 a.m. in the morning, after returning from one of his coffee breaks, he comes face to face with what appears to be a ghostly entity trying to turn on the bus engine. But as you can see, there is no one there.
Anytime you hear this sound effect, you already know the actual intention is to scare you, not provide legitimate evidence of ghosts. So yeah, this one's really sus.
If you're ever in a situation like this, call on the name of Jesus, call on the blood of Jesus, because he has the power over all of the spiritual, supernatural realm.
And apparently the mechanical world as well. This actually reminds me of that one video where the dancing skeleton is like short-circuiting and the couple think that it's possessed. But if you saw either of these videos and got spooked, that's totally normal. Actually, assuming agency to objects is a very helpful evolutionary trait. Think of it this way. If you were home alone and you heard something fall over in the other room, what would be your first thought? Probably that someone broke in. And I would argue that that is the safest conclusion to jump to, because what if it was an intruder that did that? The same thing goes for our ancestors. They hear a twig snap in the forest and they get thrown into fight or flight because there's a chance that a predator caused that sound. Those who didn't assume it was a predator got eaten. But unfortunately, our brains take it one step further and attribute agency to other things like lightning, gravity, seizures, and yes, even mechanical issues. Motherfucker!
Tesla cars have the technology to show on their screen that a pedestrian is walking near the car, and multiple people have uploaded videos of them driving through cemeteries, and then random people are appearing on the screen as if they're walking right next to the car when no one is actually there.
Please show yourself if you're...
I was there.
Yeah, I'm not playing. Yes, I told you. Oh, okay, I believe it.
The Tesla is not picking up on ghosts, guys. And this video is so funny to me because history keeps repeating itself. Like, seriously, ghost hunters can't come up with any new tricks. They take thing after thing, totally unrelated to ghosts, like an old flashlight, use it incorrectly, and then say it's proof of the supernatural. This exact same thing happened with the Xbox Kinect. You might want to grab some popcorn for this one. In 2010, Microsoft released a new addition to their console called the Kinect. It was practically a camera that made your body the controller for some exclusive games. The way it did this was pretty ingenious. It first projects a speckle pattern of infrared dots onto you and the surrounding area. Then, using a tiny sensor, it reads where each dot lies, if the dots are warped, and how long it takes for the dot's light to travel to the sensor to give a semi-accurate understanding of depth. But here's where the tough part comes in. In order for the Kinect to know not just how close you were, but what you actually were, required a whole lot of machine learning. One that isn't perfect by any means. And I'm sure anyone who's used the Kinect can agree. Basically, the Kinect would reference what it saw to a database to see if there were any matches to a specific pose or movement. If it had a hit, it would then assign that thing a stick figure. Oftentimes, it would find human-like figures and poses in things that to us don't even look human. But it was an imperfect machine just doing what it was programmed to. Yet, when paranormal investigators caught wind that it would project stick figures when nobody was in its view, they added it to their arsenal of ghostly gadgets. Usually, you'll see them carry it throughout the house, which would only confuse the Kinect more as it was designed to find a moving human in a static room. Nevertheless, many people believed what they saw, but if they understood how the Kinect worked, they would have just left it behind. Now, after understanding this, you can see history literally repeating itself. The Tesla is much more advanced than a gaming system from the 2010s, but it actually isn't that different. The Tesla has cameras all over and refers the images it sees to a database to try and figure out what it's looking at. And it too is imperfect. When it picks up on a foreign object, it will project the closest thing it can think of onto your screen. What other thing in the Tesla database is roughly the size of a tombstone? And honestly, if ghosts were detectable by things like radar, we would have found this out long before now, especially considering how many people have died at sea.
This last clip we'll look at is a pretty amazing and very accurate prophecy that was given about Donald Trump and the event that just took place with him.
This bullet flew by his ear and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. He fell to his knees during this time frame and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. People say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. The Lord showed me it would go clear into the summer. Great persecution would come on him through the judges. and through the law and all these people trying to sue him and all this stuff. But there would be a stop to it, and things would start to break free come toward the fall. And then I saw him winning the election through the Patriots coming out and voting, and then there will be a great economy crash, worse than the Great Depression.
Oh, there are so many problems with this one. For those who don't know, this is Brandon Dale Biggs, a self-professed prophet who runs the channel Last Days. This particular prophecy was originally recorded and posted on Steve Cioccolanti and Discover Ministries channel 4 months before the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. But before you start believing him, let's dig a little deeper. In this specific interview, Dale says a lot of things. In fact, he makes what I counted to be 28 separate predictions, with 12 being almost impossible to prove one way or the other. Like, the darkness is lifted, or the judges would stop persecuting Donald Trump. And that's a major problem with these prophets like Brandon. So many of these can't be disproven. Like, even I want to say that this prophecy about the judges is false, as they are blocking his orders constantly. But I bet you Brandon would argue that Trump receiving an unconditional discharge of his 34 felonies counts as an end of the persecution. And so, there's no way to disprove this prophecy, which is why any prophecy that can always be argued to be true must always be thrown out from consideration. Saying it's going to rain soon is not a prophecy worth giving the time of day. We don't give participation trophies to fortune tellers. Another 10 of these prophecies could be proven or disproven within the next 3 years. Yet it's very unlikely for all of these things to happen. But here's the best part. 3 of these prophecies are already disproven, as 2024 didn't have the largest tornadoes in history. It did have a lot, but we also had a lot just 8 years ago. It hadn't had microbursts reaching 150 miles per hour, and temperatures have not been the highest on record. Unless he meant on average globally. He didn't mean that. But if he tried to argue that's what he meant, that'd be a pretty lame prophecy, because science already predicted that one. Which now leaves us with just 3 prophecies that are correct: the assassination attempt, Michigan voting Republican, and Donald Trump winning the election. But I'd like to point out that Michigan voted red back in 2014, so that's not irregular. And when it comes to an election, you likely have a 50-50 chance of being correct. Also not strange to get right. And with regards to the assassination attempt, his actual prophecy wasn't that he got shot in the ear, but that a bullet flew so close that it burst his eardrum.
This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum.
The FBI already confirmed that the blood was from actually being struck in the ear, nothing to do with his eardrum at all. Now, I've wanted to talk about Brandon for a while. I stumbled across his channel back in July of 2024 when this video went viral. At the time, I was shocked, probably like you were, to see someone predict something so specific. But when I went to his channel, the shock factor slowly dissipated as I saw he had over 150 videos on his YouTube channel full of prophecies, plenty of them vague, and a lot of them political. He also had just 3 links posted on his homepage, which led to his PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. He's now added his social links as well, but I thought it was a little telling at the time why he was making so many videos, prophecies. But if that still isn't convincing, Mike Winger, a popular Christian apologist, did a really good live stream going into all the problems with Brandon. But the reason I bring it up is Brandon started deleting the videos with false prophecies or any times where he contradicted himself. Mike would pull up a troubling video, and right after, Dale would delete it, and they are still deleted. This man is not in the interest of sharing God's word. He is in the interest of making himself look good. To be honest, this last section I have had the hardest time scripting. This is so much more complicated than just proving Brandon was wrong. I grew up in a family where we believed in prophets and were told to invest in this company trying to find hidden gold in the Philippines. I'm not joking. When none of these prophecies came true and the gold was never found, one of my family members still claimed belief in the prophet because they had gotten so much right. Well, what did they get right? I'd say less than 10% of their prophecies came true. But for this person, that small percentage was all that they needed. And I know that there are people that believe in Brandon with the exact same mindset. He is dangerous to take seriously, as he even has admitted himself that his own prophecies have financially ruined people. But he will still continue to profit from those less fortunate because he got a really good guess in about Donald Trump. Seriously, he posts videos weekly full of predictions. Some of them are bound to stick, and this was just one of them. Neil deGrasse Tyson put it really well when he said, if you bumped into a friend at the airport, you might think, huh, small world. But if you went up to everyone else you walked by and asked, do I know you? And when they said no, you thought, huh, big world. The world would cease to be so small. And if you did this to Brandon's prophecies, he would cease to be so prophetic. I can't for sure disprove Brandon being a prophet, but he's doing a pretty good job of doing that himself. Well, that was all of the videos, and I didn't change my mind. I don't really think this would change anyone's mind, but unfortunately, that isn't who this video was made for. His main target audience is believers, to get them to buy more and more into this dark idea of demonic powers and that they should turn towards a God out of fear. And at one point, I was one of them. I would have turned to God out of fear from watching something like this. And I think that should be challenged more. Not because we're dumb, but because we can easily be tricked. But what do you think? Are there spirits and prophets? Or is this all supernatural? Thanks for watching.